Hello everyone and welcome back to QuipScope, the show where we take a look at a brand new game or console. Well, we're not looking at the new console, but it's for a new console that's just come out. This is not a QuipScope for the PS5. Maybe we should have done one.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, that would be a
it's
beefy
big.
old project. Yeah, it
PS5,
is big.
More like PS4, but the next one.
More like, wow, it really makes a lot of noise sometimes, doesn't it?
The disc drive for sure.
Yeah. Right, anyway, so this is the show where we take a look at brand new games. And Ben has been playing a PS5 game this week. And not any old PS5 game, but a remake of a video game very close to his heart. Ben, you've been playing Dark Souls.
No, I haven't.
I mean, Souls. You've been playing Demon's Souls.
I have. That's the one. We got there. We got there eventually. Yes, this game on PS3 was one of my favourite PS3 games, and of course it was console locked on there. Couldn't play it on PS4. They turned the servers off. You couldn't play it online anymore in early 2018. And then earlier this year, it was confirmed we were getting a full remake by Bluepoint Games, no less, who are the remake masters, who did Shadow of the Colossus and so on. And it's here. It's a launch game, and it's bloody fantastic.
It is, by what I've seen. I mean, you know, I'm no expert, and it's just as well that you're here to give us your. I mean, you can give us probably a pretty good comparison from one to the next. But even from the outside perspective, I can see that it's very good looking. Seems to play well. Very exciting for a lot of people. So how is it? Firstly, I guess in comparison to the old game. You know, what's new? What's stayed the same? Is there anything you wish that they had changed or hadn't changed?
So largely, it's pretty much identical, apart from obviously a massive visual upgrade. There's a couple of new rings they've added in. They've renamed a couple of items. A few item locations have shifted around ever so slightly, but largely it's an identical game, and you could follow a PS3 guide and still be fine on PS5. So there's going to be things probably that really annoy, classic diehard fans, like the photo mode, which I think is probably one of the best photo modes I've ever seen because it's so absurd. Because you can make your character pull facial expressions, and you can just pause it in the middle of a boss fight, go into photo mode, and just pull a big sort of cheesy grin up on your face and take a photo, which is objectively really funny. But at the same time, when you're playing in single player, it does act as a legitimate pause menu. So FromSoft games don't have pause.
Yeah.
When you go into your menu, you're still in game. You don't pause it. You can't pause it. Photo mode does actually pause the game. So that is going to be probably a bit of a contentious decision for people. I'm not that fussed by it, but I know that some people will think it sort of ruins the spirit of the game in that you can go into free cam mode and just sort of have a peer around corners and see if enemies are coming and stuff. So there's that. That's sort of the basically the new stuff. Lots of new animations for the different weapons. I think they've added in. There's a secret door as well that's been added. That's been widely documented online. People have now worked out how to get in there. So yeah, and there's an armor set in there that I'm not sure was in the original game. So. Those are the big main changes, but largely it remains the same. It's a very sort of simple game in terms of its structure, in that you have the Nexus, which is your hub area, and then you have 5 archstones, and each archstone is a different world, and it sort of works like they're described online for simplicity's sake, sort of in Super Mario World terms, where the levels will be called 1-1, 1-2, 1-3. So within each archstone there are 3, 4, 5 levels, depending on which one you go in, each with a boss at the end. And you can warp to those archstones, which are basically... they're basically swords, sort of like in Dark Souls, you know, where you sit at the bonfire, and the bonfire has a sword sticking out of it. It's a similar deal here, but it's a sword sticking out of a big shiny stone. So that's basically it. But when you sit at it, it doesn't regenerate all the enemies. You just use it to warp back to the Nexus or warp to another archstone within that world of archstones, and so on and so forth. You don't play it like a like a traditional game in the sense that you would work your way through the first archstone, then go on to the next archstone, then go on to the next archstone. You sort of have to hop between them in different orders because they have different difficulties, and sometimes you need to complete something in another archstone to continue in a different archstone, and so on and so forth. Okay. So you'd do, say, 1-1 and 1-2, and then you'd go to 2-1, and then you might go to 3-1, and then go back to 2-2, and so on. There's lots of guides online to show you where to go. But that is the fundamentals. There are souls you use to level up and buy things. There's vendors in the Nexus. There's a lady who levels you up in the Nexus. If you're familiar with From Software games, or Soulsborne games, I should say, you'll feel right at home. They've done a lot of quality of life tweaks to make things a bit easier. They've kept the equipment load thing where you can only carry a certain amount of items, but now instead of having to leave them there, you can teleport them back to your storage in the Nexus, so you don't have to just leave them on the floor.
Right.
Which is great. That's a nice change. There is, rather irritatingly, you can, when you're playing online, even though you name your character, and I think this is true for maybe one or two other FromSoft games, but largely you can choose whether when you're playing online it displays your character name or your PSN name, or at least the people who are in your game. So you can play with, you go online with your character Batman, and when someone summons you in, it'll say, summoned the Phantom Batman. And it's like, great, but by default, with no option to change it, you have to show your PSN ID, which is, fine, but kind of annoying in that why bother naming your character?
Right, okay.
If when you're playing online, you can't really do that. Online's changed slightly in that you can now put a password on, which is great. Again, another big quality of life change, because previously you just put your sign down and hoped that your friend would be able to pick it up. Now it's sorted. When I said the Demon's Souls remake was the only game I was going to get at launch because I was going to be playing it for a month solid?
Yeah, well, I think I know what you're going to say, yes.
Yeah, so this isn't so much a first impressions as it is a sort of mini review, because it took me 4 days, but last night, Sunday, I got the platinum trophy. So I've done it. I've done all the game.
Wow.
I finished it in sort of 2.5 days, meticulously going through everything, and then I had to reload various bits to, or start new characters to get additional items, start New Game Plus to pick up some more rings and stuff that I needed. But it's gorgeous. It's brutal in a lot of ways. I still think that it's got that. They've managed to retain that classic From Software jank. In that, and I feel like this is maybe slightly worse now than it was, or at least worse than I remember it being. In that, say that there's an area of effect attack of some kind, like a firebomb, or the Dragon God boss fight, which is the dragon that everyone's seen in the trailers, the giant one with all the horns coming off its head. That was on I think it was on the original splash screen as well for the game, or the box art, or something like that. That's sort of a set piece fight in that you don't have to dodge attacks and then hit it, like you would with a normal boss. You sort of have to dart between pillars and then use two massive, is it ballistas, the giant
crossbows?
Yes, the giant crossbows to weaken it, and then you can go down and finish it off. In that, there's some real area of effect nonsense, and in other areas of the game as well, where there'll be an impact or an explosion, and you will stand on the edge of it, and as it's dying down, you'll start to try and run past it, but you'll still be hit with the full effect as if you'd been hit directly, even though it's starting to fade away, which is kind of annoying.
Right.
So there's an explosion, you wait for the explosion to go, you take 2 steps forward, and you go, "Whoa!" and go flying backwards as if it had hit you directly, because you didn't wait long enough, and there was no sort of nuance to the amount of damage it does in relation to where you were. So that happened to me a lot, and that was kind of annoying. But on the whole, I'm so impressed with this game. Really, really blown away. It's the remake that this game deserves. I am so happy that people are able to play it because, as I said, it's been locked away for 11 years on PS3, and I think newcomers will love it. People who've not played From Software games, I think this honestly might be the one to start with. Not only is it the original, but I do think, as I said earlier, its structure is a lot simpler to follow. As much as I love how Dark Souls is constructed from a map perspective, in terms of the looping back on yourself and the shortcuts, and there are shortcuts in this too, the fact that this has separate independent levels that are easily marked makes it a lot easier to go through. With the other quality of life changes, like the online passwords, means you can play it with friends quite easily. And I just think this is a fantastic package for newcomers, for people who haven't played Demon's Souls but love the Soulsborne games. There's so much in this game that paved the way, it seems like it should go without saying, but paved the way for the other Soulsborne games, in that you'll see things that recur throughout the series, and they started here. You know, references, weapons, items, armor sets, shields, that sort of stuff all originated in this game, and you'll see certain things and think, oh, that reminds me of such and such in Dark Souls.
Right.
And now people can get to experience that, because FromSoft games all have this sort of narrative running through all of them, even though they're not linked story-wise, or most of them aren't anyway. There are certainly reoccurring themes, and the vast majority of them started here. And I just think it's perfect for that, and I am so happy that it's finally out and it's really good and that people can play it.
Mm-hmm. Have you played much online, or did you just sort of do enough to see how it works?
Yes, I played through most of the game online in co-op with my
Right.
friend. We just sort of blasted through it together because, again, a lot of purists will say, and this goes for all of the Soulsborne games, that you don't get the full experience if you don't play it by yourself. And to them I say, poo-poo to you, because I love playing these games in co-op. I think they're so much fun, and I think it's so much more fun to go through these games with a friend. Now, for me, obviously, I knew what was coming at every turn because I played this game a lot before.
Yeah.
But certainly for newcomers, I remember when Dark Souls 3 came out, and I was playing that with a friend, and every corner it was like, oh god, what's this? And being able to experience that with a friend, creeping around a corner, or sending your summoned in friend first, because if they die, you can just summon them back in again, whereas if you die, you have to start all over again that level, and they get kicked out. And then just seeing them get blasted back into the corridor by some massive enemy it's so much fun. There's really something special about playing these games in co-op. So yes, I did play it largely in co-op. I played a couple of levels on my own, because like the other games, if you're in sort of human form, for want of a better term, you can summon in people, but you can also be invaded. And if you're in soul form, which is once you die, your health gets limited. It gets halved, actually. Your health gets halved, but you can no longer be invaded, and you can put your sign down to be summoned in. So that's sort of how the online works. So I played a couple of sections in soul form intentionally because there were a lot of invaders, and there's a big glitch at the moment going on that I'm sure they'll patch, where you can consume an item, talk to the level up lady, and your luck stat will go up to 80,000.
Right.
From 7. And it puts you at soul level 999, which is the max. And the numbers at the top saying how much XP you need to level up go into the negative. So it breaks the game, basically, and there's a weapon that scales its damage with your luck stat. So people are invading and killing people in one hit because they can do 12,000 damage.
Yeah.
So there were certain areas where I was invaded a lot that I did play on my own because it was just not worth going through in co-op, because we would just be invaded constantly by people who wanted to ruin our day, essentially. But apart from that glitch, that's the only real issue I've come across. There's some annoying stuff with the trophies, especially if people are looking at doing this. A lot of the guides online, I think, were written preemptively, and they still have all the PS3 descriptions, and especially as some of the boss soul names and the ring names have changed, it can be a bit confusing. A lot of these guides, even though they say they're for PS5, are outdated, and it does take some additional fiddling around and researching, and some of the guides are just unclear anyway. They say, kill this person and talk to this person, you'll get this. But you kill that person, talk to them, and they don't do anything because they have to tell you to kill them first. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So there's lots of stuff like that that you need to be aware of because the guides aren't really up to par just yet. But the biggest thing that's really irritating a lot of players is that there's a ring that seemingly you can only get if you pick it as your starting class gift at the very beginning of the game. There's no other way to earn it. So people have gotten through the whole game, meticulously collected all the rings as they've gone, and then discovered that because they didn't start with a certain class, they're locked out from getting the trophy, and they need to start a whole new game to get it. So I'm assuming that will be fixed, but that is a point of contention for a lot of players at the moment.
Yeah.
But on the whole, they've done a fantastic job. really keen to see what they remake next, or if they do what Activision has done with Vicarious Visions and Crash, and they let them make that cut level that was in the original, because one of the archstones is broken, or was broken in the original and is still broken now.
Right.
But it was originally going to be in there because there was cut content in the PS3 version. So if they let them restore that as DLC, and then maybe, considering that this has been a massive critical success, and that I'm assuming it's going to sell a lot of copies, that they will look to, because Sony own Demon's Souls, that's theirs. It's not From Software's.
Yeah.
So if Bluepoint can sort of do a trial DLC and then maybe look at developing a Demon's Souls 2, that'd be very exciting.
Yeah. Wow. It could really go places from here.
Yeah.
What are you going to do now that you've done the platinum? Are you still going to just sort of keep playing for fun? Are you going to just restart it and have another run through, or do you think it's time you're now going to move on?
I've been thinking about it all day, because I've been sat in my pants for 4 days eating junk food and playing this game.
Yeah.
And now I've stopped and I'm back at work, and all I'm thinking about is playing it. So I'm probably going to go back in, maybe help out some friends with their runs, jump into their games. There's still some optional stuff that I want to just sort of have a poke around and get some certain items and weapons you need to fulfill very specific criteria for. So I'm not gonna put it down just yet, but I did think that I'd be playing this solidly for a month, and realistically it's probably going to be more like maybe a week and a half before I pick up something else.
No, that's good though, because that's what I thought. I knew you wanted to, or you thought you'd be playing for a month, and then the fact that you got the platinum in a couple of days, I thought, is that it now? Have you sort of, there's nothing else to do, but I guess there's still plenty of fun to be had, which is good.
Absolutely.
You've not sort of eaten the entire pack of cookies in one go, sort of thing,
Yes.
figuratively.
Well, I have, but I've sort of developed a bird-style regurgitation method in that I can enjoy them all over again. I can just spit them out and enjoy them all over. But there we go. That was some verbal diarrhea, but that's basically my thoughts on the entire game, having played all of it to death over 4 days. It's really, really good.
Fantastic. Hey, Ben. Demon's Souls, more like Dark Souls. Remember when I said that at the beginning of the video?
I do remember that. Yeah. Demon's Souls, more like D's Mon Souls, as in like these are my souls. Right?
D's Mon Souls.
D's Mon Souls. Oh god, it's really hard to do one for this as well.
Yeah, it's tricky. More like Demon's Old, as in, because it's an old game that's come back from the dead.
That's good. I can't think of any more.
No, maybe that's.
I'm just thinking about killing demons. That's all I can do now.
Well, go do that, and I'll go. I don't know. Play Bug Snacks or something.
Cool. All right. I'm gonna go kill demons now. Bye, Peter.
Bye.